Good afternoon, dear students. You are talking to Dr. Chauke, the lecturer responsible for EDS 4805, Research in Disability Studies. Dr. Chauke is the primary lecturer for the module, and I'm working hand in hand with Professor Pasha, who is the secondary lecturer of EDS 4805. Introduction of the module. Welcome to Research in Disability Studies, EDS 4805. This is one of the modules of the postgraduate diploma in inclusive education qualification in the Department of Inclusive Education. The purpose of this module is to equip you as a student with a sound understanding of the key issues relating to the conducting of research and the professional presentation of the research proposal. The module aims to provide you with the knowledge and skills required to interpret, evaluate, judge, and apply the concept and principles of appropriate scientific methods of inquiry. In other words, in this module, you are going to be doing research. And when you do research, you need to acquire the skills to interpret, to evaluate, to judge, apply the concept and principles and techniques of appropriate scientific methods of inquiry. What are the specific outcomes of this module? The following outcomes apply in EDS 4805. Specific outcome number 1, you are expected to discuss the importance of research in issues related to disability studies. Specific outcome number 2, identify a researchable problem in the field of disability studies. Specific number 3, review literature that is related to disability studies. Specific outcome number 4, you are expected to describe and compare research methods. In the last specific outcome, which is specific number 5, present a research proposal that promotes effective and efficient implementation of research. What are the study materials in this module? The module does not have a prescribed book. It does have a study guide, which you have received upon your registration. And also, the module have recommended books and the e-reserve books, meaning that whenever you do your assignment, you'll be having the prescribed study guide and also the recommended books, which are recommended, and the e-reserves, which are also written in the tutorial letter 101 of 2022. These are the sources that will help you to do your assignments. What is the overview of assessments? In EDS 4805 module, to complete it, you need to submit 5 compulsory assessment activities, comprising 4 assignments and a research proposal. This 4 assignment will contribute to 40% towards your year mark. The research proposal will contribute 60% to your final mark for the module. We are continuing with the overview of the assessment. You must achieve an average of 50% to pass the module. In order to achieve a distinction, you must achieve 75% or more for the year mark, average of your assignment mark, to qualify to obtain and access to the examination. You will submit the research proposal comprising the work you have done in completing your assignment thus far, assignment 2 to 4. It is important that you complete and do well in each of the assignment provided. Now, for this lecture, I am going to discuss assignment 3 with you, as you have already submitted the 2 assignments. Assignment 3 requires you to provide a well-structured and a well-considered review of literature related to your research problem. In your assignment number 2, you have identified a research problem. Now, for this assignment 3, you are going to take the problem that you have identified in your assignment 2 and conduct a literature review in order that to be able to address the problem that you have identified in completing your assignment number 3. What is expected in this question? This question requires that you situate your research problem within the broader debates while demonstrating that your work is original and innovative. The following guidelines should help you in writing your literature review section. Let me emphasize that this question requires you to do your literature review. It also requires you to make sure that your work is original and innovative. Then we'll be looking at the guidelines that will be assisting you to complete this assignment. They are the following. In the first place, you need to identify 12 to 15 sources that are relevant to the problem you identified in assignment 2. These sources must have been published between 2015 to 2022. The reason for these sources to be published in between 2015 and 2022 is to help you to keep your research, or it is help you to keep your literature review that you're going to interrogate in the current debates, meaning that your literature review should address the issues that we are experiencing at the current situation. These sources, they should include scholarly articles, chapters, book chapters, or policies. Avoid using textbooks. Why we should avoid using textbooks? The good literature review should come from scholarly books, should come from scholarly articles, should come from scholarly book chapters and scholarly books, not the textbooks. In number 2, when you review your literature or when you review the sources, provide a description, summary, and critical evaluation. Meaning that when you review a literature or when you read sources or citations, you need to make sure that you provide a description, a summary, and a critical evaluation. What is literature review? Because we're talking about you going to conduct literature review for assignment number 3. Now the question arises to say, what is literature review? A review of literature that has already been written. Secondary analysis of knowledge, what others have already discovered or written, or in simple language, you can say what is out there in the public knowledge. Consists of critical reading, evaluating and organizing existing literature on the topic to assess the state of knowledge in the area of field of study. Again, when you conduct literature, you do a selection of available documents, both published or unpublished, e.g., the theses, the dissertations that are published, that are there in the library, official documents, reports, minutes on the topic which contain information, ideas, data, and evidence written from a particular standpoint to fulfill a certain aims or experiences. We continue with what is literature review. I've already mentioned that it's a knowledge that is already been written. And also it consists of critical reading, evaluating, and organizing existing literature on the topic to assess the state of knowledge in the area or field of study. A selection of available documents, both published and unpublished, theses, official documents, reports, minutes, etc., on the topic which contain information, ideas, data, and evidence written from a particular standpoint to fulfill certain aims and express certain views of the nature of the topic. Again, literature review, it is conducted on peer-reviewed articles, on peer-reviewed journal articles. It may be published articles, unpublished articles, etc. Now that we understand what literature review is, the next slides will be talking about the purpose of literature review. Why do we need literature review? The purpose of literature review is to gather information about the subject, the topic, from many sources, to bring the reader up to date with current literature on a topic, state, or the art review. Again, literature review, it situates the existing literature in a broader scholarly and historical context to show command of the subject area and understanding of research problem. Literature review also assists to gain methodological insight that can inform your study, meaning that whenever you want to choose the methods that you're going to use to conduct your study, this will be coming from the literature review. This will be coming from the literature review that you shall have read. Literature review, again, it informs and justifies the research topic, research design, and methodology. Again, the purpose of literature review is to identify the gaps, the contradictions in research, and justify the needs for current and future research in an area scoping review. Meaning that when you were doing your assignment 2 and you identified the problem, now you are going to address those gaps that you have identified in the assignment 2 by doing this literature review. So it will be identifying the gaps, the contradictions in research, and justify the needs for current and future research in an area scoping review. Again, the purpose of literature review is to prevent duplication of research already being done or duplication of research already undertaken. Literature review also, the purpose assists to provide a rationale and motivation for your own study. Main subject, theme, topic, questions, objectives. Why do you want to conduct this study? It will also come from the literature review because you shall have read the literature review and you shall have get the gaps, or you will have the reason, the motivation that sparked you to decide to conduct a research or to conduct a study. The purpose of literature review, again, is to justify the chosen theory, the data collection and analysis methodology over alternative techniques using relevant references from the literature, critically examining theories and research methods used in the literature to better understand whether the claims are warranted. To set the broad context of the study, clearly demarcating what is and what is not within the scope of the research, investigation, and justifies the decisions. Meaning that literature review assists you to put your study in a particular context in which your study is going to be researched or in which your study is going to be investigated. Those were the purposes of literature review. When do we conduct literature review? As you are going to embark on doing your assignment 3, when do you conduct literature review? In the early stages, during the development of the research proposal, to identify research gaps, refine the research focus, topics, and questions, and make theoretical and methodological choices. Also, literature reviews conducted in the middle stages of the writing, during formulation of chapters, to augment theory, findings, results, and discussions. In final phase, literature review is conducted to write discussions, conclusions, recommendations, to relate findings to findings of others, to identify implications of findings to theory, practice, and research. Of course, again, to support recommendations and conclusions. These are the stages when literature review is conducted. However, in the assignment 3, you are going to conduct literature review in the first stage, wherein you are going to develop your research proposal. You identify the gaps, you refine the research focus and questions, and make theoretical and methodological choices. The structure of a literature review. A literature review is guided by your topic and research questions. Depending on the purpose of your study, the literature review can be structured in a chronological way, chronologically looking at the historical aspects of the study, or it can be done in a thematically identifying the key themes of the literature. Ideationally, logical by development of ideas. Literature review also can be conducted by developing ideas. It can also be purposeful methodologically, depends on the method. Like we said, literature review guide your topic, it guide your research questions, it guide your methodology. A literature review can be based on empirical primary research. It can be based on primary research. Again, literature review can be based on theories, theoretical review, on research methods, which method to be reviewed. And also it can be on concept. What conceptual framework does this literature review require for you to conduct your research? Requirements of literature review. A literature review must be current, up-to-date references. Previously, I mentioned that your literature review should be between 2015 and 2022 sources that you should use. This will help you to be current. This will help you to be more up-to-date with your references. And it should also be relevant, both contextually and globally, meaning that literature review should involve sources that are nationally and internationally. Detailed, not scant and lacking in references. Literature review should be conducted in detailed. It shouldn't be scanning. It shouldn't be lacking some references. Again, it must be focused, relating directly to the study. It should be logical, properly organized and sequenced. It should also be balanced, justified, arguments, fair criticism, reflective of the author's self in terms of the summaries and the arguments. Meaning that when you are going to do your assignment 3, your literature review should be balanced. It should be logical. It should also be reflecting on what you are saying. It should give us your voice in terms of the summaries and the arguments. Whatever that you are writing, you should be of critical importance to say, in my view, I understand this literature review while this is happening. That is what we expect you to do, to reflect on the author's self in terms of summaries and arguments, to justify your statements. Stages in conducting a literature review. You search for the sources. Which sources? Scholarly articles, scholarly book chapters, policies, official government documents, you name them. After sorting them, after searching them, you sort. Why are you sorting them? You sort them to put them in line with what you want to do. Then the next stage you read. Reading takes place. As we read, we are reading and making some notes. Notes of the important facts that we have identified, that which you are going to need during our writing. Then we write or writing the review. The writing starts after making all the necessary literature review stages. After searching the documents, sorting them, having read them, and making the notes. Now, the next stage is to write or writing the review. Searching for information or searching for literature review. Start with key points or start with keywords. What is it that you're going to do? Select words from your topic. Research questions or problem research statement. Identify similar or related words. Synonyms. Identify keywords terms from the research database you are searching by browsing online. Even if you obtain details from one key article author, you can use this to identify further articles by searching for 1. Further papers written by that same author. Keywords the author has identified in their abstract, articles in the reference list, related articles listed in the publisher's database, keywords attached to the article. Develop your own research database, categorize according to keywords. Review your search. Establish a criteria for inclusion and exclusion. Again, I will refer you to your problem that you have identified in your assignment number 2. Remember that the problem that you have identified in your assignment number 2, it has the keywords. Use the keywords to search your literature review for this assignment number 3. Types of sources of literature. Preliminary sources, library catalog, digital library, electronic library, individual full text journal database, official website, online repositories, bibliographies, databases, research databases, sites that broadly cover specific topics. Google Scholar, Sabinet, Sage, Science, Direct, SpringLink, etc. This database will help you to get a good literature review. They are the database that are in the library at an institution. Primary sources, direct original reports. For an example, if you use primary sources, you'll use original reports. For example, journal articles, theses, and dissertations. Those are direct original reports. The secondary reports or the indirect opinions that draw from refer to primary sources, e.g., when you write, you find that when you see so and so in so and so, you should just understand that it's not a primary source, it is a source inside another source. It is a source which was referred from the primary source. Literature review summary strategies. The summary. Briefly state the arguments and main points of relevant research. When you do summaries, you make an argument, and you make an argument from the main points of the relevant research. During analysis, you closely examine the elements of structure of the research and interpret through the lens of the field. Having done your analysis, then its synthesis, you should make sure that you combine ideas in order to form an integrated theory or systems through critical evaluation, compare and contrast. Evaluation. Assess the research through the criteria you choose. State and explain. Support your evaluation with research. Of course, you emphasize your own interpretation. As a researcher, as a student, when you write, you should always make sure that you emphasize your own interpretation, how you view things, how you see what other authors have mentioned, and come up with your own arguments to support the statement or to critique in a positive way that particular statement, because you are allowed to agree and disagree with what other authors are saying, but giving the reasons for your justification. In conclusion, having discussed assignment 3 and what is expected of you to write in this assignment, based on what we have already discussed in terms of what is literature review, what are the purposes of literature review, what do we need in the literature review, then in my conclusion, student, allow me to say a poorly conducted literature review cannot be reclaimed except by redoing it properly. Meaning that I'm advising you, before you start with your assignment number 3, and assignment 4 and assignment of the research proposal, make sure that you conduct your literature review properly. Make sure that the literature review that you conduct is going to address the question that you have asked to say, this is what I'm going to do. Make sure that the literature review that you conduct is going to address the real problem that you have identified during your assignment number 2, or when you were doing your assignment number 2. And once that literature review is clearly researched, is clearly understood, then you'll be able to conduct a good research proposal at the end of this module, which is the one that is going to be your final mark. No research can be properly conducted without a thorough, in-depth literature review. This is very true. If you want to conduct a research which is thorough, or which is empirically researched, or which is going to address the needs of the study, or which is going to help you to answer the problem statement, you need to make sure that you conduct a literature review in depth. Those aspects that I've discussed will assist you to get a good literature review. All our research is built on previous research done by others. meaning that you have to search for scholarly articles, book chapters, which are already written by other authors. And those sources or citations will help you to do your own assignment, because literature, no research is built on previous, because all research is built on previous research done by others. No research can be so unique that we can say there is no related literature. This simply means whenever you're going to do your assignment number 3, trying to address the problem that you have identified in your assignment number 2, you need to conduct literature, because there are things that have been already mentioned or written in other authors' literature review, which will assist you to be able to write your assignment number 3 correctly. These are the references that I selected. You are more than welcome to use recommended books. I've mentioned this before, e-reserve books, and any other research methodology books that will help you understand your assignment number 3, that will help you to write your assignment number 3. These are just a few, and there are others also in the tutorial letter, which you should also look at and try to search them and read what literature review is, and read how to conduct a good literature review and be able to answer your assignment number 3. Ndakensa, ke a leboga. Thank you very much.